Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Suleiman Jam. I am a technical manager and I work for IHE Catalyst and Caneva. So today I will introduce you the passion, the MPI, Master Passion Index, and how to test it in the Gazelle tool. So in the summary, we will begin with an introduction of the MPI. Next, we will review the essential IHE profile that are involved in the implementation and operation of the MPI. We will go then to explore the simulation of the MPI server using the Gazelle Passion Manager tool. And finally, we will open a question response to discuss about this presentation, clarify concept, and address any concern you may have. So to introduce the MPI, as you know, in your country, you have many different applications. You have also many healthcare systems with multiple database that are not interconnected. So what tends to happen is when a patient a patient may be represented in a different way or using different ID across these different applications. So the consequence is that the fact to have different identification can generate some interoperability issues between those applications because they will face some issues to share the identity of the patient. One patient with several identity in several different identity.
Are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah.
No, you are not sharing your screen. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me try again. Okay, sorry.
Hello there.
Oh, now it's okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Suleiman.
Okay. Okay, so this was the summary of the presentation. And now I was explaining that in your country you have several applications, several different healthcare systems with multiple databases that are not interconnected. So what tends to happen is that one patient may be represented in different way or using different ID across this application. So the consequence is we have some interoperability issues between those healthcare system or those applications to share the patient identity. One patient with several identity in several different healthcare system, but they have some interoperability issues to share the identity. So that's why today we would like to introduce you the MPI because the MPI is one of the solutions of that interoperability issues. So I will explain what is an MPI, why an MPI is important, and in the modern healthcare, how patient identify are shared across hospital systems. And to answer to all of these questions, I will give you a real life example involving a pregnant patient. So in this example, I will focus in the country level because the presentation will be divided in two parts, the country level and then the regional level. In the country level, this is an example. We have a pregnant. Her name is Brenda Cruz. The date of birth is October 10, 1998. She's born in Colombia, and the address is in Bogota. So during the pregnancy period, Brenda will visit the antenatal care for initial checkup. This is the first step. And then the second step, she will proceed to a blood analysis center for necessary blood tests. And after that, she will follow by a visit in the vaccination center for COVID vaccination or yellow fever vaccination. And now the issue is all of these applications. If I take the example of the antenatal care, in the antenatal care, they have their own stuff, their own software application. They have also their own clinical data and their own outcomes and indicator. These software, these clinical data, and these outcome are totally different to what we have in the Blood laboratory. They have different, they have their own software application also, their own clinical data, and their own indicator. So that's exactly the same also with the vaccination center. So what's happened is in the antenatal care, they have, as they have their own system, they will identify Brenda with a local ID. For example, it's 108. In the blood laboratory, they will identify also Brenda with 721. And in the vaccination center, we have another ID, that's the 511. So we have, in this example, 3 different systems and 3 different IDs for the same patient. So for the same patient, we have 3 different identities. So now what's happened if we have an additional system? Let's suppose, for example, during the pregnancy, she needs to go to the emergency department, for example, and the clinician need to know or need to retrieve the blood test results from the blood laboratory, or from the antenatal care, or from the vaccination center. For example, I would like to get access to Brenda vaccination card or vaccination record from the vaccination center. So now in the emergency department, we have an additional ID, another ID different to what we have in the blood laboratory and the others healthcare system. So now this is why we need the National Master Patient Index, the MPI, because the MPI will be in the middle of all of those system, all of this system, and it will make sure that all application has represented Brenda patient in the MPI. For example, in the antenatal care, they need to create the Brenda patient in the MPI. Blood laboratory, they need to do the same. In the vaccination center, they need to do the same. And each one of them, when they create the Brenda patient in the MPI, they need to provide the ID, the ID in their system. So then the MPI will check if there is any duplicated patient. It will resolve duplicated patient if you have some duplicated patient, of course. It will allow all application to perform some updates in the Brenda patient form, to merge patient. For example, if in the antenatal care, if in the billing, for example, they make a mistake in the name of Brenda, and in the same healthcare, we have another system, for example, a system for testing used by another clinician in the same organization. So that means Brenda will have 2 different names. The first one will be the right one, and the second one will be, for example, the wrong one, because when they type the name, they made some mistake, for example. So in the patient, in the MPI, we have the possibility to fix that issue, to merge both patients, because that's the same patient, both patient name in one patient form in the MPI. So we can update the patient, merge, add a new patient in the MPI, and we can also delete a patient in the MPI. So then it will allow the next stage is to allow the emergency department to, if for example they would like to retrieve the blood, the laboratory results. She can, the first thing to do is to find how the laboratory system identify Brenda. So the emergency department system will send a request to the MPI to say, okay, this is how I identify Brenda, but I need to retrieve the ID of Brenda in the laboratory center, the laboratory system. So the MPI will provide the right information, And if she need also the vaccination form, the vaccination results of Brenda, it will send a request to ask how Brenda is identified in the vaccination center. Once she have the identification, the identifier, now she can send another transaction. It can be an MHD transaction, for example, to retrieve the document, or to retrieve the patient summary document, or to retrieve the blood results analysis document, for example. So globally, the MPI is in the center of all of these systems, and it will allow them to share their identifier for the same patient. The last thing to know is also the MPI. In the MPI, you can provide a unique identifier. It can be, for example, in Colombia. Brenda lives in Colombia. In the MPI, you can provide one unique identifier for Brenda, and that unique identifier can be used in the future. So this is what happened in the national level. In the national level, you have several systems around the national MPI, and they can share together the identifier of the same patient. Now, what's happened in the country level, in the regional level? Sorry, the same patient, Brenda, can travel from Brazil to Colombia, then to Belize. So each country can provide a national ID for the same patient, Brenda. And now we can have a regional patient index. In the regional patient index, we have each patient will be identified. If, for example, she visits all of this country, each country will provide the national ID. That national ID will be created or shared in the regional master index. And also we can provide a LAC regional ID, one ID for Brenda in the LAC region. So this is what I explained here is the national level, and here we can have the regional level. So now this is a quick summary of the quick introduction of the MPI. We call it also the EMPI, the Enterprise Master Patient Index, or we can call it also the Patient Master Index. It's an electronic database that holds essential demographic data on every patient receiving healthcare services. And it's a database that plays a crucial role in identifying and retrieving a patient complete and accurate medical record. So the primary goal of the MPI is to correctly match and link record by uniquely identifying each individual. It achieves this by storing information such as the name, the date of birth, the gender, and other relevant details, and by assigning a unique identifier to every person. So on this slide, I just publish some main benefits of having the master patient index. First, it improves the patient care, accurate patient identification, and ensure that healthcare providers access to the correct patient record, leading to better diagnostic and treatment. It's also, the second benefit is the comprehensive medical record. It will allow to aggregate patient data from multiple resources, providing a complete medical history that can improve care coordination and cost and outcomes. The next one is to reduce the duplicated record. For example, we can, as I said, some system can make some mistake in writing the name of the patient, and that patient can be duplicated. So it will minimize the risk of duplicated record, which can lead to fragmented and incomplete patient information. So it will also resolve the interoperability issues between systems, enable seamless integration with various healthcare systems such as electronic health record, laboratory information system, and billing system. So now this is the introduction of the MPI. Now the question is, what is the link between MPI and IHE? the MPI implements some protocol based on the IHC profiles, and the main profiles is the PIXM, the patient identity feed. We have three levels of the profiles. The first level is PIX V2, PIX V3 based on SL7V3 and SL7V2. And we have PIXM for patient identity feed for mobile. This is based on 5. So in PIXM, we have three different actors. The first actor is patient identity source. If, for example, you have your healthcare system, and you would like to add, to create, or to update, or to merge a patient in the MPI, you need to implement the patient identity source actor. That actor will send the transaction ITI 104. I will show you afterwards in the demo. It will send the ITI 104 to create or update or delete or merge the patient. And you have also another actor, that's the consumer, the patient identity cross-reference consumer. This one will send another transaction, that's the ITI 83. The ITI 83 will just allow the system. For example, in this example, the emergency department system will send the ITI 83 transaction to retrieve, to say, okay, this is my system identifier, sorry. This is Brenda identifier, and I would like to know the corresponding identifier in the group laboratory. So this request ITI 83 will be sent to the MPI, and the MPI will send the identifier of Brenda in the put laboratory. It will be the 721. I will show you in the demo how to send that transaction and what the results looks like. So if you go to the, so this is the consumer to get the ID of the patient available in another healthcare system. You have also another actor, that's the patient identity cross-reference manager. This is supported by the MPI server. Okay, so for example, in Gazelle, we have the patient manager tool, and the patient manager tool implement this actor. Okay, before I go to show you the demo and everything, I will just jump to the specification and show you. Yeah, so this is the link to the specification of the PIX profile. It will explain the role of each actors, the main transaction. For example, in this example, we are in the ITI 104 to create or update or delete the patient. It will give you also some additional use case that you can check. For example, in this example, we have two different healthcare system, intensive care system and main hospital system. And here we are trying to retrieve the ID in the different the ID of the patient in the different system in order to send an MHD transaction to retrieve the lab results document. The first stage is to identify the patient in the different system, and then the second stage is to retrieve the patient summary or the lab result, the lab results document or another document. So in this specification, it shows you also different workflow. For example, if you have the same patient, two names, how to do the merge and so on. And if I go up,
you are browsing this page because we are only viewing the PPT. Probably you are.
Sorry, excuse me. Oh, it's strange. Okay, so let me stop the sharing and then share the full screen. It will be more easy. Okay. Can you see my full screen now?
Perfect. Go.
Okay. Okay, so this is the link to the specification of the PIXM profile. It describes all the main actors of the profile, the transaction, and give you also some additional use case, because in my use case, I take the example of Brenda. But in this example, you have some different use case, and in this use case, the process is the same. Find the ID of the patient in the different domain, the first stage. Once I have the ID of the patient in that domain, now the next stage is to retrieve the patient summary of the document or the lab results of the document or another document. So you can have a look on this and then, yeah. So now I will switch also to, before I switch to the demo, I would like to show you how the request and the response looks like. I mean the request and the response of the ITI 104. So in the ITI 104, if you check, for example, this page, it describes you what the ITI 104 is doing. Here it shows what kind of transaction you can do to add, to resolve, to add, to update, or to remove the patient. And if you go down, it will show you normally. Okay, so it will show you the content of the request message. In the request message, you have two different parts. You have the body of the message, and you have also the header. If you want to create, for example, a patient, in the body of the message, you need to put the name of the patient, and you need to put the ID of the patient. For example, in this example of Brenda, if I want to create, I will show you in the demo, if I want to create the Brenda in the Brenda identifier in the emergency department, I need to put here the ID of the system, the emergency department, and here I need to put the identifier Brenda in the emergency system. Here is the date of birth and then the gender. And at the bottom, at the top of the message, here you have HTTP. You have three different parts. The first part is no, two different parts, sorry. The first part is the endpoint of your MPI server. You need to mention this. For example, with Gazelle, to reach the MPI server of Gazelle, it's gazelleraxel.org PXM connector file. And then you have, just go back to the, yeah. And then you have also the name patient and then the identifier of the system, the emergency system, and the identifier of the patient. Okay, so if you provide just this information to the MPI server, the MPI server will provide you the ID of the health of the antenatal care system. In the antenatal care system, you will see the ID of the patient. It will give you also the ID of the laboratory system, and just after it will provide you how the Brenda is identified in the book laboratory system. Same also for the vaccination center. So we'll go for the demo just for the ITI 104. So now I can switch to Postman to send this transaction from the antenatal care system that act as a patient identity source to the Gazelle patient manager that act has an MPI server. So I'm going to create now the Brenda patient in the MPI. So to do so, I will switch to Postman because I'm using Postman. So probably for you, you will use your real system or Postman. I don't know how this will be organized for the Connectathon. But for PXM, I have some available requests. I can share it with you. So I have in this request, I have the ITI 104. In the ITI 104, I have different, I have create, update, delete, merge, and so on. So now what I'm interested in is the create patient. In the create patient, this is the endpoint of my of the Gazelle patient manager, the MPI. During the Connectathon or before the Connectathon in the preparatory stage, you will perform your test with this endpoint. So now, okay, so now I have the body. So before the body, in the parameters, I will say, okay, this is the ID of the emergency system. Okay. No, sorry, this is the ID of the emergency system. Just before this percentage. Okay, this is the ID of the emergency system. And this is the ID of the patient. So for example, for Brenda in the emergency system, the ID is 517. So I can put 517. So as we are in the Colombia country, so I can say COL, for example. So the ID is COL 571. So I need to check before I send the request in the patient manager if we have any patient before. So Brenda Cruz. Okay, no name. I just switch in English. So the first name is Brenda. Okay. So we have no patient with the name Brenda. Okay. So now let's switch to the postman. I put my ID. This is the ID of the system. And now I can send my request. So I'm sending my request. So I have a successful creation. So the patient is created. I have the response. It say, okay, oh, no, sorry. I didn't change the name of, it create another patient because I didn't change the name here. So the family name is Cruz. Let's check what I put. Okay, Brenda Cruz. So let me go back to the request body. The request body is just here. So the family name, the given name is Brenda. The family name is Cruz. The date of birth, I can give 10/10/1999. Okay, she is a female. Okay. So now for the address, I can put Bogota. Okay, so Colombia. Okay, so I have also here I have the identifier of the because I create the patient in the emergency or in the healthcare system. So this is the ID of the healthcare system. Okay, and this is how I identify the patient. The value of the identifier of the patient, and this is the identifier of the system. So now I can create my patient. Okay, so now it's successfully created. I have the right name, and in the name I have, if I go down, Cruz and Brenda. I made the mistake in the name. Yeah, it's a mistake in the name, but never mind. So okay, I didn't delete the NT and then this character, but normally it should create a patient with this name I provide in my body. So let's go back to Gazelle and see what's happened if I have the right identifier and if I have the right system identifier. So if I go back to Gazelle Patient Manager, we have all patient, and all patient it creates ANT Brenda Cruz, she is a female, and this is the ID I provide, COL 571. This is the ID of the patient, and this is the ID of the system I provide. So this is for the creation. I can create also another patient. I can send the same request, but with the update status, with to delete or to perform the merge and so on. So now before I switch to the next transaction, because now I create the patient, the next stage is to, if I create the patient here, the patient is also created. For example, I perform the same creation, the same request, but for the antenatal care system, the blood laboratory system, and the vaccination center system. So now the next stage will be to send an ITI 83 to retrieve the corresponding ID in the others system. So, but before I switch to the ITI 83, I would like to show you how Gazelle works, because in this in the transaction I sent, as I said, we have two parts. We have the header, and we have also the green part, the body. So what Gazelle will do, if you send your ITI 104 to add or to remove or to merge a patient, the first thing to do for Gazelle is to call the HTTP validator. to check if the method is is put or is to check if the method is correct, because Gazelle need to verify if this method corresponds to what we have in the specification of the implementation guide of the profile. If, for example, you have put and you should have delayed, for example, it will not work. So Gazelle will reject your request. So the first thing to do for Gazelle is to check if the method is correct, check if the URL is in adequation or correspond to the URL we should have based on the implementation guide. It will check also all of the information in the header. See the first stage. And then the second stage, Gazelle will check the body of the message. If you have, if you populate all of the field and if there is any missing information or not. Once these verifications are done, the first verification will be done with the HTTP validator available in the Raxel Gazelle. And then the second validation will be done in the Matchbox. So you have the Matchbox in your environment. But when you perform your validation from Postman, you don't have to do anything. You just need to click on send, and then Gazelle will do the job. Gazelle will call HTTP validator, will call Matchbox, validate your message if everything is done. So now it will load your patient in the MPI simulator. So this is for the creation. So now, as I said, you need if once all the patient is created in all systems, they use the same request I show you to create the patient. Now, the next stage will be how to retrieve the corresponding identifier in the different system. So to do so, your system need to, if you act as a client, your system need to act as a patient identity cross reference consumer. So because only this transaction is allowed to send the ITI 8083. So it will send the ITI 83 to the patient manager, the patient identity cross reference manager, the MPI, to retrieve the identifiers. So in this example, I don't have a real system, but I will use Postman to perform the test. So in the Postman, I have this, for example, I have this request. So in this request, you have the endpoint of the MPI by a patient, this character. And also we have some parameters. What are the parameters? The parameters is the first parameter is the source identifier. Let me switch to the specification. I will show you how it looks like. The specification. Okay, in the specification, it says when you will send the request, the method should be a get. Then you have the base. The base is your endpoint. Then you should have patient, then IHE picks. This is mandatory. Then you need to have the first parameter, source identifier. In the source identifier, you will say, for example, if I take the example of the antenatal care, I will say, okay, this is my antenatal care. This is the identifier of my system, and this is how I identify Brenda. Okay, so now I need to have the corresponding identifier in the, for example, in the boot system. So this will be the target system. Okay, so let me jump to give you an example in Postman. For example, if I take the example of another patient, let's just see. I can show you the example of patient we have, for example, for the Connectathon. Okay. For example, if I take the example of Alice, for example, okay, Alice has 4 different identifiers in 5 different identifiers in 5 different systems. This is IHE Blue, the first ID in the system. For example, in the antenatal care system, for example. Okay, so if I say in my request, I will say, okay, this is the ID of my system. Okay, so I put the ID of my system here. And this is the ID of the patient in that system. Okay. So now I would like to retrieve the corresponding ID in this system, because these are some different systems and these are how she's identified in this system. For example, I would like to retrieve the facility ID in this system. So I need just to provide the ID of the system here, to copy this ID and ask, this is the target identifier. So I just need to send this request to say, okay, I need the corresponding ID in this system, the corresponding ID of the patient in this system, and I will send the ITI 83. If I send the ITI 83, it will return me the facility ID. This is how the patient is identified in the how to say, yeah, in this system. So for example, if I remove this value, the target system, it will ask the MPI all the identifier the MPI know for this patient. For example, this is my patient, this is my patient ID, this is my system. I would like to retrieve all the patient ID created in the other system. So if I click on send, it will provide me all the IDs. IHC Blue, if I go back to the patient information, for example, I have IHC Blue 30 and 36, facility ID 30 and 36, green ID and red and IHC red. So if you go back to the results of the message, the MPI return me all of the ID he know. The ID, for example, IHC Blue is saying, okay, IHC Blue, this identifier is created in this system ID. IHC facility 30 and 36 was created in this system. So the MPI server will provide me all the ID existing for the same patient. So what does it mean? This means if I go back to my example and I send an ITI 83 from the emergency department to the MPI will send me all the patient, all the ID available in other system, antenatal care system, blood system, and vaccination center system. So it will provide me these three different ID, and also it will provide me also the national ID if it exists. Okay, the unique identifier of the patient. So this is for ITI 83. And for the ITI 83, what I wanted to share also for this transaction is when you send the transaction ITI 83 from your postman or your system on the test to Gazelle Patient Manager, Gazelle Patient Manager will check just the header of the message. We just call the validator HTTP validator to check the method, to check the URL, to check the header if everything is okay. So it will share you the corresponding identifier. It will search the corresponding identifier and then send it to you back. So this is how the ITI 84 looks like. Maybe I can jump to the specification and show you some more information. Yeah, so this is the URL, and we have no body for the ITI as I said in my previous slide, we have no body for ITI 83. So only the only verification we'll do is the header to check if the method is correct, if you have the right endpoint, if you have patient IHC peaks, if you have some parameters. These parameters is mandatory, the source identifier, but for the target system, it depends. It depends on what you need. If you need all ID, so you can remove the target system. If you need one specific ID, you need to put the ID of the system. You would like to retrieve the ID of the patient. So I will conclude with the patient, with if, for example, if you take the example of the LAC region MPI example, so we can have, I don't know, I don't discuss with Fernando how he would like to configure this, but for example, in this patient, Mary Gaines, this is a sample we used to use during the IHC Connectathon. In this example, we have this represent the domain. For example, this represent a domain. This is the ID of the domain. This is the ID of the patient in this domain. For example, what is changed here? The only thing that changed is the last. For example, here we have the same character, the same number, and at the end we have 1,000. So 1,000 represent one community, 2,000 represent another community, and 3,000 another community again. So sorry, 3,000 here. So for example, in the LAC region context, we could have 100 is assigned to Brazil, 1,000 sorry is assigned to Brazil, 2,000 is assigned to Belize, and 3,000 is assigned to Colombia, and so on. And you can keep this identifier, and then the patient can have its own how to say, its own identifier in this domain. And if you want to retrieve all of these ID, remove the target system here and provide one of these, how to say, go back to the Gazelle and provide just one of these parameters, and it will provide you all the existing ID in the LAC region MPI. So this is what I wanted to show you today. And just because I have the question in another presentation, so why do we have percentage 7C? Because we are using Postman, and Postman doesn't accept some character, like, for example, normally in the get we should have, if I go back to the specification, in the specification it says that if I search for the, no, this is not the right consumer, okay. So in the specification, it said that the source identifier should look like this: URN, OID, the reference of the domain, and then you have the pipe. Okay, so Postman doesn't support a pipe, so that's why we replace it. We replace it by a percentage 7C, and then we put the ID of the patient. So we can perform some additional tests, but I will provide you these query. If you want to perform some tests with Postman and Gazelle to better understand how the MPI, how we can simulate the MPI, so you can perform some tests. These are also some additional tests. We don't have time probably to do it, but you can focus on two different target system. You have your source identifier, the patient identifier, and you say, okay, I just need to retrieve information of the same patient for the antenatal care and the blood laboratory. I don't care about the vaccination center, for example. So you can focus on just two systems. So this is for the merge. The merge, as I said, you can, when you create a patient and you make some mistake, for example, here I create Brenda, for example, I can remove this character, for example, I made a mistake, and then I can send the same request. So see what's happened here. If I go to all patient, okay, so now it create Brenda. So the first creation, I made some mistake in the name, and the second one, that's the right name. So these issues, generally in the healthcare system, we face this kind of issues. And in the MPI, you can resolve that issues by sending, because the MPI will say, oh, okay, we have the same patient with two different names. So we can perform a merge to merge both patients in one patient. So we have also some requests to do it. So here I can provide you of this request. And we can also perform some error case. In the error case, we can maybe put a wrong character in this in the header and see if Gazelle will validate or not this header. We can put some special character in the body, for example, put like something like this and send it. And here you see bad request, because Gazelle say, oh, okay, your body is not correct. Fix your body and then send me back your request. So we have several error cases. So now it depends to Carlos, Fernando, and Pablo to see how this could be tested during the upcoming event. If we need to focus on the national level, or if we need to focus on the regional level, or if we need to focus on both in the test plan of the next event. So once you identify your patient, now you can do what you want to do. You can send some MHD transaction to retrieve the patient summary document of the patient, the laboratory results, or any other document. But the first stage is to resolve the identification of the patient issues, interoperability issues between all of these systems. So we have 10 minutes left. This is what I wanted to share with you. I'm open for the question you have. Thank you. Any question?
Eso. Muchas gracias, Soliman, por la presentación. Thanks, Soliman, for your presentation. ¿Preguntas? ¿Alguna duda?
Can you provide more info about Gazelle, please? You mean a presentation of Gazelle, or you mean a presentation of the Gazelle Patient Manager, the simulator?
So I believe this is like a kind of software in parallel that you're using, and I was just checking it out, and I found it out already. It's like another application you're utilizing. Or correct me if I'm wrong. So I just want to know more about Gazelle. It's like another integration you're using, right?
Yeah, Gazelle is an interoperability tool that we use for the LACPASS Connectathon. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Suleiman.
Okay. So Gazelle is just an interoperability tool that helps for testing some IHE for testing some IHE actors. So we can simulate some IHE actors, like for example, as I show in this example, we can simulate this actor to send some requests, or this actor to act as a server, or has an MPI. So in Gazelle we have a set of validator also, HTTP validator, Matchbox validator, and we have also the Gazelle test management. In this Gazelle test management, we will be able to organize an event like LACPASS Projectathon, Canada, Swiss, USA, and the European Commission. They all use the Gazelle test management for organizing the event. The organization in the organization will have the registration of the patient, the registration of the participant, the registration of the system. If you register your system now, you can register for the profile. For example, if you would like to test PixM, the MPI profile, the MPI system, for example, you can register for Pix profile. So yeah, and we have also the proxy. Gazelle is a set of tools: simulator, validator, support tool, and you can do whatever you want to do around the interoperability context. But I think we'll have a registration webinar. I will present Gazelle better in more details, I think.
Thanks anyway.
Any more question? What national ID would be used?
From Italo, we have another question before the one of.
Yes, sorry. Okay. Thank you, Italo. I have another question again. There are operations that are implemented on the side, right? So the national node will only work as client for this use case. Yeah. For example, in the event, yeah, this is something I forget to show also in the Gazelle Patient Manager. Thank you, Italo, for the question. In the Gazelle, you can simulate also the client side. For example, if you set up an MPI, a national MPI, for example, for Brazil, you can test that MPI by using the Gazelle simulator. The Gazelle simulator can act as a consumer, as a client, and then your MPI has a server. So this example, you can show it here. Okay, so in this example, but the testing process will not be the same. I didn't include this in my presentation because Fernando told me that this is not part of the event. Fernando, tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Gazelle can also simulate the client side. And it can simulate also the MPI on the server side. I don't know if I answered your question, Italo, or not.
Yes, in general, the idea is that all the applications should be the client, so act as a consumer. Okay, this is the idea. We provide the simulator will be the manager. Okay.
Yeah, but it's important to tell to the participant that the client simulator is available in case they would like to test it in the event.
Okay, yes, it's a client if we like to create any patient or create any type of instance of patient with the demographic or make a queries and to show how it makes the links between two similar registers. So it's the idea to have a simulator for this functionality.
I think the second question is mostly for you, Fernando.
Yes.
Taleya is asking what
Okay.
national ID would be
Yes.
used.
Yes, precisely as Sully shows, the point is you could use any type of identifier. So you could use the passport, the national ID, or even the medical record number. So the point is the master patient index assigned a specific number that is independence of any type of other information system that it comes. So the idea is it has a internal number that is which it used to link the different data. This is the point, and not specific. This tool is created specifically to use different type of identifiers in the country. That it happens normally when the patient have different numbers. So you can use your national identifier, the number of the EHR of this specific hospital, or the license number. At the end, the point is the MP could link the different registers using demographic data. So the MP identifier using the same surname, the same name, the same date of birth. So it could be the same person using other demographic data. So for this reason, it's don't bother what type of identifier you use.
Okay.
And a last comment for this is to say that now is a first webinar, but we will work on, as Sulim shows, probably the idea is that we have a national MPI, probably, could create and using any type of specific identifier that could make that allows to make the links between the different countries. But we will specify this for the specific connectathon. The idea now is that that we will have an MP simulator, that we will have some message. You see, it really is a simple message to create. This is the type of message that you should create to create a patient, to validate if the patient exists, and then the idea is to configure the system and the application.
Okay. Okay, so maybe just but it's time. I forget to show you the transaction for PDQM to retrieve once you have once you can identify the patient in the different system, how to retrieve the patient demographic information by using PDQM. So maybe next time or next webinar, I will or during our registration webinar, I will take this 5 minutes to show you how it works, and I will share you also this project. Just the last question from Edgar Alexander. From a system architecture perspective, how Gazelle handles scalability and security managing. So for this question, I will ask my colleagues that are working for the European Connectathon, because for the European Connectathon, we have the MPI server and we have a lot of systems that are connected with that MPI. But I think they don't use some large volume of data. The only data they use that what I show you here, these patients, I don't know how many patients I have in this list, but yeah, it's not too much. Gazelle will just help you to test your implementation and organize the event. But for the large volume of data, I don't know if we already face this kind of testing or not. Yeah. And for the security part also, I will check with them because they already they have more information than me for the security part on the MPI server.
Now, maybe it's important to add over there that Gazelle platform is a certification platform, is for testing, for interoperability tests. It's not a platform. It's not a commercial platform for implement on some national infrastructure for production environment. Is the focus of Gazelle is other one.
And the last question, Gazelle is when you will use Gazelle, you will just use some test data, not production data. So I don't know if Claudio it answered your question. And probably mean that sensitive personal data will be shared worldwide. For the regional context, I need to you can check with Fernando, but if you talk about Gazelle, the data you will create in Gazelle will be just some test data, not production data.
Yes, in general, the Gazelle and this instance is a testing platform mainly for the Connectathon transactions that we use to validate and to certify that different methods as according to the different profiles. So Gazelle is a special as a mediator that it catch the messages that are sending between health applications. So we enter to Gazelle and we could verify the structure of the message if it's according to the specifications.
I think once we have the test plan ready, you can work with the monitors, or we can have another presentation to present the test plan that will be used during the event and go into the details of the MPI server in Gazelle. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Suleiman. I think we'll have
Thank you.
questions.
If you want me to show you just the MPDQM transaction, or each time we can close. It's up to you. It's up to you.
Maybe,
Carlos.
Fernando, what do you think?
Just 5 minutes to show for PDQM.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So for PDQM, it will just take 5 minutes. PDQM is the patient demographic query that help to retrieve the patient demographic information. So for example, in this example, I create the patient Brenda Cruz, and another system, for example, I would like to retrieve the patient information of Brenda by searching with the name. For example, here I have the project, the Postman project, and you can search by using the address, by using the identifier, by using the family and given name. For example, with the identifier, if I go to parameter, for example, I can put the identifier I just create in Gazelle, this one, the identifier of the patient. Just put it here. Yeah, and in the response, I will receive all information about Brenda. Okay, so it will give me the first Brenda with the wrong name I put, because it's already stored in Gazelle, and the real Brenda with the right name. Okay, because I just say, oh, okay, I'm searching with the identifier, because in here I have the same identifier for the same patient. Okay, so if I search just with one patient with just one name, for example, if I take Castro, for example, just with this given name, sorry. Now, if I go back to given name and family name, for example, I can specify which one of these Brenda I need to know. For example, Brenda Cruz, for example. Given name is Brenda and family name is Cruz. I hope it will just return me one patient. Yeah. No, it returned me the same patient. So okay. So I can search so because I made a mistake with the name, so that's why it gives me two patient name. But if I give him just Castro as a last name, family name with Castro. Yeah, I can put Castro and Manuel, for example. Yeah, so it find it will give me the patient demographic information of Manuel Castro. He's a male, he's born in 1947. And I can search also by using the address. Any patient with the address, I can use also the address state. I'm searching with the patient living in Bogota. So you can do whatever you want with PDQM. Once you have the identifier of the patient, you can search by using the name, the first name, the last name, the address, the country, and so on. So these profiles also will be included in the next connectathon based on the information I get from Fernando. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you on PDQM.
Okay,
Thank you, Suleiman. Muchas gracias a todos también por la sesión de hoy. Estamos pasados algunos minutos, así que daremos cierre a esta sesión. Recordar que queda disponible en el canal de YouTube de Raxel. The presentation will be available, the recording of the presentation on the YouTube channel from Raxel. Gracias a todos y nos vemos en la siguiente sesión en un próximo webinar. Estaremos informando adecuadamente por nuestras redes sociales. Que estén muy bien.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Suleiman.
Bye, bye.
Gracias, buen día.
Bye.
Thank you, Suleiman.
Chao.
Buena tarde para todos.